SnowTrax is brought to you by Polaris. Think outside. Ski-Doo. Winter lovers, get out there and experience that Ski-Doo feeling. And by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength.
Well, it's that time of the year again where Polaris is pulling back the curtains on their 2025 products, and let me tell you, this is going to be a year to be remembered with all kinds of cool and exciting news. Interesting to note is the continued focus on new products being delivered each year and Polaris's commitment to having fresh, innovative stuff to show the industry year over year. And while that is very encouraging, I know everyone's chomping at the bit to see what's coming, so let's just jump right into it. Now, in the mountain category, the RMKs have gone on yet another diet. You can now buy a 9R Pro RMK 155 that is only 414 pounds. That is seriously impressive. Along with many weight-saving designs, the lineup has become simplified from 2024, where we had the Pro RMK Slash, the RMK Chaos Slash, the Pro RMK, and the RMK Chaos. Now for 2025, there's just two lines to choose from, the Pro RMK and the RMK Chaos. Both will feature the Slash short tapered tunnels, however, only the SnowCheck versions of both will have the new weight savings feature that drop poundage to the tune of around 7 pounds. Where does that weight come from? Well, it's a few key areas: a lightweight headlight, 1-inch lowered seat, a lightweight steel drive shaft, an even lighter weight, better cleaning out running boards, and some increased serviceability of rear suspension pads that also reduces a bit of weight. Now, when it comes to the trails, this is where, in my opinion, the biggest news is, and there is a whole lot of cool options for you to choose from. For 2025, the flagship VR1 Indy can now be equipped with DYNAMIX suspension. Yup, the same system we've seen on the Razor side-by-sides comes to snow. Using an IMU, or inertial measurement unit, along with throttle and brake sensors, the dynamic suspension with 3 modes of comfort, rally, and extreme will adjust on the fly within each mode based on massive amounts of input from the IMU and throttle and brake to give you the best possible ride. Going through a corner, the IMU will stiffen the outside front shock to help you corner flatter. Get airborne, the shocks will stiffen to land better. Hit the brakes or throttle hard, and the shocks will adapt and respond to keep the sled flat and in control. The whole system is also speed sensitive, so response will change within each mode to allow for a comfortable ride at all times, no matter the setting. Now, I gotta tell you, I am really excited to get on a VR1 with DYNAMIX, but another sled that I am equally as excited to get on is the all-new 2025 XCR 9R. The 9R can now be snow-checked in the XCR. Yeah, the 9R, you'll remember, is the almost factory mod motor you could get in select mountain sleds, but now offered here on the flats. While you can't get the boost engine in the XCR, the 9R features 7% more power than the 850, as well as 12% more torque. It has significantly reduced inertia because of the lightweight crank, the flywheel and piston, and the lightweight P22 primary clutch. Add to this the absolutely beautiful machine ports, ceramic-coated pistons, and the kind of milled-looking head, and you've got an absolute beast under the hood, and the undeniable winner of biggest bore naturally aspirated 2-stroke trail sled on the market. So let's take a look at the crossover market as well, because there's a bunch of news here also. The Switchback Assault is the only sled in the lineup of trail and/or crossover that gives you the freedom of having 650, 850, boost, or 9R options. However, unfortunately, you won't be able to spec the DYNAMIX on the Assault. That's only a VR1 option for 2025. Now, I'm really excited to get out on a Switchback Assault with the 9R engine and feel all that extra power and reduced weight and inertia. I know it's gonna feel awesome over the 850 naturally aspirated, and then likewise, I'd like to compare it to the Boost. I think there's gonna be a lot of folks checking that 9R box at SnowCheck. And that's not all that's coming down the pipe. For 25, you can now get a Voyager in the Matrix platform in a 146-inch skid. With lots of integrated storage, the Voyager is an excellent option and available in 650 with the 7S display as an option. The Titan also sees a new model with the Titan Adventure 155 in the Matrix platform. This sled is the ultimate wide-track sport ute sled and features the 650 Patriot engine. It's a 155 by 20-inch wide track, has a 2-up seat as well as a rear standard rack with lock and ride flex options. But besides the new platform, the biggest news for Titan is the totally new rear skid frame called the Backtrack 20 and the high clearance front IFS A-arms. This rear skid is said to go backwards as good as it does forwards, allowing you to not be limited by terrain in reverse. Link this with the high clearance front suspension and trail breaker skis, and this sled will go anywhere and do anything. Along with all of this news, there's many improvements to things like engines, platforms, as well as technology, which just proves to us that Polaris is hard on the gas, pushing forwards, bringing new products year over year. And moving forwards, I am so excited to see what they have in store for us in the future.
What makes a sled engaging and exciting to ride? I ask because some are and some aren't. And while I do think part of this is subjective, I also think that there are certain characteristics a sled simply must have to be described this way. Is it power? Yeah, but it's more than just ultimate power, it's how the power feels. How the engine responds when you first pull the throttle, how the power builds, and the sensations you get when you hold it wide open. Is it handling? Definitely. But there's a difference between a sled that simply stays flat and goes around a corner really fast and one that can be described as exciting and engaging. Does it respond to your inputs? Can you get the skis up when you want them to be, but keep them down when you need them to be? Does it get a little sideways sometimes? Can it be steered a bit with a throttle? Look, there's nothing wrong with a sled that simply follows your inputs as you turn the handlebars. As long as you're out riding, that's all I really care about. But if you want to really feel the rush of riding a snowmobile, to not feel like you're just riding a sled, but you and the machine are working together, that the sled can and will do exactly what you tell it to, you need a sled like a Switchback Assault. I've said this many times. The Assault is a sled that is for people who want to feel fully immersed in the ride. Its handling can be described as telepathic, yet it requires extremely high levels of focus at all times. It's a sled that leaves you feeling both more at peace and more on edge the harder you ride it. This is all thanks to two things. First, the Matrix platform with its unrivaled handling characteristics and incredible ergonomics tailored specifically to an active riding style. And the uncoupled IGX 146 skid frame that works in perfect unison with the chassis. Polaris designed the Matrix to handle better the more involved you get in the ride. To corner over the crest of a hill, for example, you move up on the seat to weight the skis when you first initiate the turn. Then, as you crest the hill, slide slightly back on the seat and lean your body inwards while pulling the bars towards you. This will unweight the front end, but it will also lean the whole sled over with the outside ski higher than the inside one. It's almost like a seated pow turn. The sled will lean through the corner as you crest over the top of the hill. You can even counter steer with the skis for extra style points. As you finish the turn, quickly slide your body forward to the other side of the seat to bring the skis back down and get the chassis set up for the next turn. There are very few sleds that can be ridden like this, and once you get the hang of it, it gives you a feeling you simply cannot get anywhere else. Of course, having enough power to lift the skis on command is necessary for all of this to be possible. Last season, Polaris's 850 Boost power plant, while undoubtedly fast on the top end, felt a little soft on the bottom. It didn't seem to build power quickly enough when you stabbed the throttle to get the skis light or to ramp up the face of a hill. It left us preferring the 850 naturally aspirated power plant, especially in the Assault trim. But for 2024, Polaris locked their engine gurus in a room and didn't let them out till the Boost engine felt not just as good as the naturally aspirated 850 down low, but felt considerably more powerful at every point in the power band. Interestingly, despite the Assault Boost being geared slightly different than the VR1 Boost, in our initial testing, which consisted basically of just super high-speed runs down the lake, the Assault Boost was faster than the VR1 Boost run after run, which means it doesn't just have extra power down low, it's got extremely long legs too. The Switchback Assault is obviously a crossover, but there's a large group of buyers who don't ride it off-trail at all. This is because they have realized, as we did long ago, that the Assault is actually one of the very best purely trail sleds on the market. This season, we spec'd our Assault with the shorter, more trail-friendly 1.325 lug Cobra track for this exact reason. And as has been the case since the Matrix-based Assault was released, it quickly became a favorite for a large portion of our test riders, most of whom never go off trail, ever. I think this speaks very strongly to the versatility of the Assault. Yes, it is a crossover, so it will always possess off-trail capabilities that shorter track sleds don't have. But even if you don't take it off trail at all, it's still a better trail sled than most. And while the Boost power plant does offer incredible amounts of power, it's also been tuned to be completely rideable at trail speeds all day without getting tiring or annoying. Further to all that, you're getting the infamous ride quality of the Matrix front suspension and Walker Evans Velocity needle shocks, the better than most ride quality from the IGX 146 skid, also with Walker Velocities, near perfect braking performance and feel, and all the benefits of the standard class-leading 7S display. These are all the very good reasons the 2024 Switchback Assault won this season's SnowTrax Real World Sled of the Year award. They're also the reasons why, if I could only pick one sled to spend my personal money on, this would be it.
SnowTrax is brought to you by Princess Auto. Ideas, tools.
For Ski-Doo's 2025 new model intro, the winner of our Yellow Blood contest, Mike Isenberg, and I headed to Quebec, Canada to get a first-hand look at some big news for next season. While Mike was treated to a VIP tour of Ski-Doo's operations in Valcourt, I traveled farther north to rideable trails to test out the new sleds. To say 2025 is going to be a big year for Ski-Doo doesn't quite cover it. We are finally at the showroom for Ski-Doo's 2025 new model intro. What's the experience like walking into a room like this?
It's fantastic. I mean, I think for me, I've spent the time online over the years, for all the releases, but to actually be here in person and see all the sleds in person before they're actually out and before they even go into production is it's incredible.
What we have here is a very special Lynx sled. It's a throwback model to one of the very first Lynx performance snowmobiles that was ever made. It's also got some technology here that Lynx hasn't had so far, and I think a lot of guys in North America especially are going to be pretty pumped about this. So what we have here is 850 E-Tech Turbo R power plant. It's the first time Lynx has had the two-stroke turbo. This is obviously a trail-based model, not an off-trail model. You've got your PPS 3 rear suspension. Lynx has got their Blade XC Plus ski, which is its own ski. Obviously, as Lynx does on all the Raves, you've got Pro 46 Kashima coated shocks. These things are, as AJ says often, these are the very best suspension components in the entire industry right now. Interestingly, this year the 10.25 display has built-in GPS, so you no longer have to use your phone to get GPS coverage, which is a huge step in the right direction for BRP. It's got that vintage vibe, obviously with the highest technology you can get in the industry right now in terms of power, in terms of technology itself, in terms of suspension technology, it's all here. This season, there's a new model for Lynx in general all across the world, and that is the Brutale RE. This has an Ace 900 Turbo R engine under the hood, and what makes this different from Brutale in the past is that this is a 16 wide. Brutale used to be 20 wide only. It's a pretty interesting new model. It has a narrow 39-inch wide front end. I really thought that this was maybe not a sled that I would personally be interested in, but it is an interesting new model and a new model direction for Lynx in North America to bring this model to us and to bring the narrow version that will work a lot better for us. There's a lot of news here in the MXZ lineup, important stuff, not just stuff we've already talked about, but there's other stuff going on here too. Now, you told me that you've owned an MXZ 600. What about this 600 is different for 2025?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of the 600R. I think it's in a class of its own. This is a great motor that's had a lot of really positive feedback, I think, from anybody who's ridden one. And what's new for this year is you can actually get this sled now with smart shocks, and you can get it with the new 10.25-inch display, which is amazing.
You can have an 850, you can have a 600, and they are both equal in terms of technology that you can load these things up with. Of course, the 600 also gets the new RAS RX front end and the new Pilot RX ski. All right, let's move further down here, because there's a sled down here I want to talk about.
Sure.
This is the MXZ Adrenaline 600R. The Adrenaline, which is this sled, has the new front end on it as well, with one caveat.
Yeah.
So what doesn't it have?
So it does not get the Pilot RX skis.
It doesn't get the skis. I assume it's not going to be as good. It'll be better than last year, but probably not as good as when you get the proper ski with it. However, I'm really happy to see that BRP didn't skimp on their entry-level models. With that said, is that a cool color or what?
Yes.
I really like
color.
that steel blue. That is beautiful. This sled also has the handguards, which is cool, and these aren't new. Have you used these?
Yes. So I put these on my 900R this year. It's a really great idea. It's all geared towards safety, and it's all about making sure that riders who are coming forward or coming towards you know that there's people behind you. If you have an incident on the trail, I actually use them this year because we had a breakdown on the trail, and you can actually put the flashers on while I had to tow somebody back this year. So really great system overall.
There you go. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'd use that just to be like, hey, Luke's coming through. You might all want to get out of the way. Be careful.
SnowTrax has been brought to you by Arctic Cat, share our passion. Oodaway Tourism, snow-covered landscapes to explore. And by FXR, brings you more.
This sled might be my favorite one for this coming season. We did have one of these yesterday. This is a naturally aspirated 850 XRS with obviously the new front end. This one has smart shocks. I wouldn't take smart shocks personally. I would stick with the regular front end.
Some of the changes this year and just being able to now get this sled with smart shocks with the new front end in an 850 naturally aspirated, I mean, how can you go wrong?
It was the sled yesterday that stood out to me as like the one I would buy if I could. What's new about the comp package for 2025?
Yeah, so obviously with the comp package, you're basically going to be getting the whole new front end. And I think you've got options for how you can order a shock package as well. So you can either get the Kashima coated shocks or you can get it with the smart shocks.
You get the Pro 40s if you want, or you can get smart shocks. This sled also for 2025 comes in 2 colors. Last year, this sled was a 1 SKU.
That's right.
Came how it came, don't ask any questions, walk out the door with it. This year, you've got a shock package and you've got a color package you can pick from. So this MXZ lineup for 2025 has got a lot of sizzle, but I really think MXZ in 2025, there is a very, very good reason to spend money and buy a new one. I really believe that. So this is the new Backcountry XRS, and I mean, I haven't been a huge backcountry fan over the years for one very important reason, and this sled solves it. Why is this now a sled I'm gonna rave about? What is it?
So for sure it's going to be this new front end.
Yes.
We've been talking lots about the new front end from Ski-Doo today. Obviously with the Raz RX front end, it's a complete game changer, but I think the big thing that we've been talking about is that you can actually get this front end now in 2 different choices.
Absolutely,
right?
and this is what I have been begging Ski-Doo for, well, since they brought the backcountry back, was why is it narrow? It's not my kind of sled when it's narrow, but this is a 43-inch wide full trail front end, same skis as the trail sled, the Pilot RX skis. It's got Pro 36s on the front. This is from here forward, this is a trail sled, right? From here back, it's a crossover. And this is, honestly, if you can't tell I'm pumped, you're not looking close enough.
The other thing too that, again, like we haven't had the opportunity yet to try the turbo. So I think for us, that's super exciting now that they're launching this sled and it's available in a turbo. So that's definitely gonna be something that's gonna be of interest. This is Ski-Doo's new Backcountry X. And again, just some of the differences. Obviously the shock package on this sled is not gonna be as stiff, as aggressive as what we get on the XRSs, but
this is the sled you buy if you spend most of your time off trail. I actually had the opportunity to ride this new front end yesterday, and I can honestly say it's a game changer for Ski-Doo. So this is the new spindle, and this is the old spindle, and if I put the 2 ski saddles side by side, and then put these on the side, you can see the difference here. And one of the biggest 2 differences, I guess, between the 2 of these spindles is, you can see, is the actual AR mounts where the ball balls mount for the A-arms. The lower one is 11 millimeters further from the ski saddle. The upper one is 26 millimeters further from the ski saddle than the old spindle. So you essentially have raised the front end of the sled up, the upper one more than the lower one, spacing your A-arms apart wider, but also raising everything up off the ground. And of course, the effect of this is to raise the roll center of the snowmobile. So when it rolls into a corner, the sled tips less into the corner and therefore is less likely to lift its inside ski. Speaking of skis, there is also a new ski. This is sort of a traditional Ski-Doo ski here. You know, you've got your potential for dual runners, a concave design with a single keel in the middle. This is pretty standard stuff. We've seen this all over the place with Ski-Doo stuff, and this is pretty normal. This is the new ski. You've got a stepped keel design, so you've got this initial keel here that bites into snow when you're on hardpack and gives you that excellent turn in and predictable handling on hardpack snow. Then you've got this second keel that's got a lot more surface area on the side, and this is designed when you're in soft snow to push against the soft snow as you're turning and give you better bite with soft snow. And the way everything works together makes for a completely different handling snowmobile than any Ski-Doo I've ever ridden before, and one that I would be more than happy to ride every day all winter. With a new front suspension, new ski, in-dash GPS, separate hot grip controls, a backcountry with a wide front end, and a turbo motor option, and new models from Lynx, BRP has all the hype necessary to keep customers interested in 2025. And just to be clear, all this new stuff is definitely worth the cost of an upgrade.